Thank you very much for our partners, our management company partners, and all our partners. And thank you to our board of directors who are here. I'm delighted to welcome them to Mauritius. Many have come in from abroad. And also thank you to the management team, the EXCO team. Thank you to Virginie for putting this together, and Afsar for agreeing to come. So we're on tenterhooks for the presentation. So just a couple of words about Bank One, a couple of words about our strategy. A lot of you obviously know Bank One quite well. What I would say in the last couple of years, we've been fine-tuning our strategy, particularly with a focus on Africa. We believe passionately, as far as Africa is concerned, that this is a massive opportunity for Mauritius and a massive opportunity for businesses in Mauritius. I mean, the population is meant to go from 1 to 3 billion over the next, by the end of the century. I mean, there's huge potential. And we're very blessed and very fortunate to be in Mauritius. And I was talking to some gentlemen a little earlier this evening, and we call it in Bank One the Mauritian advantage. And that is, stable politics, stable economy, stable currency, generally speaking, and the fact that we have investment grade rating, and the fact it's super safe in Mauritius. These are things that are really going to help drive business and bring customers to Mauritius. And we need to really collectively as an industry do a great job around this. And that's certainly what we at Bank One are trying to do. We're really trying to promote Mauritius as a platform, and we're also looking to grow our business significantly from African businesses looking to come into Mauritius, businesses looking to come through Mauritius into Africa, and Mauritian businesses looking to invest into Africa. This is where we feel we can add great value to our partners, and that is also, largely as a result of our shareholding, where we have INM as our 50% shareholder, who has presence in some of the key East African markets, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, and also our other 50% partner, CL, who has very strong presence in Madagascar, but also non-banking businesses throughout East and West Africa. So we believe that's our competitive advantage that Bank One can bring to our partners. Now, as far as business is concerned, we're eager to talk to you. We're eager to support you as best we can. And I know, largely speaking, the desire is for, where possible, a super quick, no fuss opening of bank accounts. And that is our focus. I mean, really try and deliver against that. Now, I have to say, not always possible, because it has to be within risk appetite. But I can tell you, if we can see good African flows, we will really do our best to support it. And it's not to say we won't do business outside Africa, but Africa is really where we believe we can add a significant competitive advantage. But thank you very much indeed for being with us this evening. Thank you for your support of our business. Thank you very much indeed to Afsar for agreeing to come this evening. He has promised that he will be nice to my team, which has spent well over $1 billion for a mid-table position. So I would say underwhelming. But again, thank you for being with us this evening. Over to you, Afsar.
Thank you, Virginie. Thank you, Mark. I'm Afsar Ebrahim from Kick Advisory, which is a boutique corporate finance outfit focusing on M&A and fundraising. Virginie did tell me that the gathering tonight may include some football hooligans. So I've brought with me my line of defense, which is Pierre Juniaville, my co-founder at Kick, Cora and Hena. So that's my line of defense. Just for the piece of history, Bank One does hold a special place in my professional career. 15 years ago, I was a transaction advisor that put Shell and INM together. that led to the creation of Bank One. It was the first major transaction 15 years ago. And I'm grateful to have in my team 15 years ago, Mrs. Gauri Gupta, without whose support this would not have happened. Thanks, Gauri, and thanks for being part of my professional journey. Thank you. So there is a lot that we can learn from the business of football. Things have changed over the years. It's a global brand. It's today UK, probably the best export from coming out of the United Kingdom is the Premier League, apart from the monarchy. The other interesting thing about football is that when I was studying in England many years ago, you would hear about Plymouth playing Doncaster, but you would not hear Real Madrid against Barcelona. But today the world has changed, and it's a different world where we are. And because of a lot of ladies in the room, I'll start by being a gender-neutral presentation. I don't know how many of you know Sarina Wigman. She's been a very successful football coach. She was very successful with Netherlands. And then the FA in England decided to look for a new coach for the England national team. And without looking at national patriotism, they went to look for the best. And the best was on the market at the time was Sarina Wigman. Very successful. She led England to the Euro Championship, and they lost the World Cup final. When FA wanted the best for the women's team, they got the best. Unfortunately, they have not done that with the men's team. And the last time they won was in 1966, and that too with a Russian flag. So any ladies who are interested about leadership and management style, I suggest you get the book, What It Takes, with Sarina Wigman. It's a great book to read and learn from. We'll come back to her a little bit later. The girl next to her is Mary Earps, who is England national goalkeeper. The interesting thing about her, she was England keeper, and then she was dropped by the then manager, Phil Neville, to the number 3 spot. She had mental health issues to cope with the fact that she's been demoted. And if you know football, being the 3rd keeper means you will not even be on the bench. That's how bad it was morally for her. When there was a change in management, Sarina came in. She brought back Mary Earps because she's a big girl. She played well with her feet, and football has changed. As you know, most teams today want keepers who can play, not with their hands, but with their feet as well. And she came back into the recognition. She was the keeper that won England the Euro Championship, and then instrumental in taking England to the World Cup. And during the World Cup final, she saved a penalty. What she did then, she turned to the camera and said the famous 4-letter words, which won the heart of the nation. She galvanized the troop with those words, and she became a national icon. She won the best keeper in the World Cup. She became BBC Personality of the Year. And more importantly, Nike stopped selling her shirts when she became number 3. Her fans forced Nike to start selling her shirts again. So how many times have we seen in corporate world where there's a change in management, some star performer goes into the closet and people left, and probably you must know a lot of people that have left organization because of a change in management. And then suddenly somebody else came into the leadership and picked up the same talent and made them into household name, like Sarina did with her. So that's one of the lessons we need to learn when talent goes out. If you're good, your turn will come. No need to go into mental distress. If you're good, your turn will come at some point. This happened in 2013. Anyone can tell me what's so special about this? Bhavik, you're wearing a United shirt. You should be able to respond, yeah? 10 years ago is a long time ago. All right. 10 years ago, Robin van Persie playing for United, scoring the winning goal at the Etihad, which led United to win their 20th title, and he was wearing the number 20 on his jersey. That's not the exciting part. You need to go back a year before that, 2012. Man City won the title, the noisy neighbors, not respecting the fair play, but that's a different story. They did win. United finished second. Sir Alex Ferguson knew that he needed a super centre forward to get Liverpool off their perch. And he went in for Van Persie. Man City, on the other hand, with unlimited amount of money, needed somebody up front for them to play the Champions League. They went for Van Persie as well, because he had a great career at Arsenal, strong team, not winning much. So both of them were going for Van Persie. In the end, he signed for United. Why? It's not United who signed Van Persie. This is the interesting lesson. It's not even Van Persie who chose to play for United. Van Persie chose Sir Alex Ferguson as the manager. He said, I've worked with Wenger for so many years. The best is Fergie. If I work with him even for one season, he will make me a better player. He will inspire me, and hopefully he will help me winning the English Premier League. So, I've been saying this to your HR. Sometimes when you're interviewing people, you think you are the one recruiting. In fact, in today's talent shortage, it's the employee who chooses the employer, not the other way around. People are looking for managers to inspire them, that can make them a better person, a better professional, hopefully a bit more money, but these are the key criteria. And this is what Van Persie did. He chose Ferguson. He did not choose United. And obviously, he did not choose the noisy neighbors. So that's what's special about it. So next time when you do recruitment, like your CFO, instead of putting an advert, Bank One is looking for an assistant accountant, you probably will get 2 CVs. If you're really good, just say, I am the CFO of Bank One, I'm looking for a new assistant. Are you prepared to work for me? And see if you get 50 CVs. That's the difference. It's not about the institution, because the talent wants to know who is going to be the manager I'm working. And this is why today, when you talk to a lot of OMCs, they go to these career fair, they come back and say, we haven't done well. Obviously, because the manager who is going to employ the person is not at the fair. It's the poor HR who is in the firing line. And they don't want to be interviewed by HR. They want to know who is the manager who is going to inspire me. The 2 best managers over the last 7 years, the power that they yield to put the team together is phenomenal. If you look at Pep, it's not that he's successful with Man City. He did it with Bayern, he did it with Barcelona, and he's doing it now with City. Forget all the noise about not being fair play, etc. But this Man City team, what he has done with them, is just out of this world. I've read 3 books on the way he played his tactics at Barcelona, Bayern, and City. When I watch City now, I know what's going to happen. If I can foresee what's going to happen, hopefully the professional managers know what's going to happen, but you just can't stop them. And the reason he's so good is because he knows what he wants. He got a plan, he got his strategy in place. Whether his players are fit or injured, the team plays the same way. I don't think he manages a team, I think he conducts an orchestra. Because every player knows what the other one is going to do. That's his impact. Same with Klopp. He's been phenomenal. What is even more interesting with Klopp, he's one of the few managers who express emotion. We tend to say, a leader doesn't express emotion, you got to be tough, you got to be, don't show it. Klopp shows a lot of his emotions, so much so that the Liverpool supporters think he's the greatest manager of all time, which is not true. He won 8 trophies during his spell at Liverpool. Man United won 7 during the same time, and we were at our worst position. That doesn't make Klopp the greatest of all time. And the sad part is he's packing it in. The reason he's packing it is the pressure. We'll come to that later. But if you look at the last 7 years, it's been Pep first, Klopp second, Pep first, Klopp second. That's the power they yield. It's not even about Liverpool. It's not even about Man City. Pep goes tomorrow, City will go down. Same thing, Klopp is going. They will be in oblivion until somebody else comes that can regenerate and recreate that spirit. A lot of people are talking, last week they won with kids. I don't like Liverpool, but honestly, any Liverpool supporter would have played that day, would have won that game. Because the motivation, the way he put that team together is phenomenal. That's what we got to learn. How do you put that team together? Sorry, Mark.
It's £1 billion, not $1 billion. Wow.
I mean, £1 billion to do a bottle job. That's a. The interesting thing about these gentlemen is that's a big lesson for the shareholders who put a lot of money in the company. They invest a lot, and then when it comes to choose a CEO, they go for the cheapest one, and you don't get results. This is what Chelsea did. This guy is the biggest loser in football. He has not won anything as a manager. Okay? His CV is not even one line. You invest £1 billion and you recruit this guy? We have seen it in a lot of organizations, big investments, and then the CEO, Jesus. This is the issue. Look at the FA. They went for the best on the market. Why did Chelsea did not invest in the best available? They had the resources. I don't know what he told them, what he sold them, but whoever did that decision must be buried. Now, if you look today, what you need to be a CEO, I think Mark can relate to all of those. A good leader, a good communicator, you need to motivate, inspirational, enthusiastic, manage your stress, see the big picture, attention to detail, and slice of luck. This is all that a football manager requires. The only difference is the football manager is accountable once a week, sometimes twice a week. He faces the media. He has to explain to some idiots why his team did not win. Most of the journalists doesn't know. They're all looking for sensationalism. And this is the sort of pressure which led to Klopp packing his bag. So there's not much difference between the two. And if you look at the challenges, the CEO has to put up with the investors. He has to ensure he wins the war of talent. He needs to build for the long term. Yet, if his quarterly results is not good, they all shoot at him. So how do you reconcile building an organization to last, and yet quarter in, quarter out, you're being on the grill? Football managers, same. They got investors now. Before, there used to be people who love a club and he puts his money. Today, you have PE funds, sovereign wealth funds, some major investors, others looking for trophy assets. All these people are putting their money and expecting a return. On top, you got media, you got social media, and a global audience. I mean, we all watch football. We all thought we could do better than Ten Hag last night. But you know, it's you have to face that. What have these 4 clubs got in common? They all won the Premier League, didn't they? Yeah, and You got the first part of the answer right, Mark.
And did terribly the next season.
Not the next season. They all have won it only once.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. 3 of them have disappeared in oblivion. One is still around. Still 1 trophy in 30 years for Liverpool. That's a fact. We can't deny it. So what happened here is, I will come to Leeds a bit later, Peter Ridsdale. Oh, that was before his time. Blackburn built up to win 1 title only and then disappear. Same with Leicester. The question is, are you going to build to last, or are you going to build with one objective in mind? That's the challenge. Let's say you got an IPO coming up. You build up to that IPO, and after the IPO, what happened? I think we write about it every week saying you are in deep trouble. But you build up to that, and then what happened afterwards? It's nobody's business. So they have built up a crescendo. I mean, see Liverpool fan here. I'm sure you will agree with me. The best Liverpool under Klopp was the calendar year 2019. They have not reached that level again. So they build up to that, and then what happened afterwards? They go down. The same thing happened with Klopp when he was at Dortmund. Build up, you win, and then you go down. So these are the clubs that have done it, but then they did not sustain. Doing a Leeds, that's an interesting one. I don't know whether Mark remember, but the banker of Leeds in those days were HSBC.
Well before my time, must
So they did a Russian roulette. They leveraged for expansion of the team. And they went gung-ho under Peter Ridsdale, who was the manager. They built up Leeds. They got up to the Champions League, and they lost against Valencia. So they did not make it. And at the time when they were playing the semi-final, Peter Ridsdale said, "We are living the dream on the back of leverage." When this did not happen, the following season they did not qualify. Look at this, 2001 semi-final of Champions League, 2003 relegated. In between, they were the first club who were terminating contract of players mid-season, not during transfers. Terminated, they just could not afford. They went down. And then the supporters said, "We live the dream." Today the nightmare continues. All this because Peter Ridsdale was ambitious, he leveraged it, and went gung-ho for the football. If you don't have sound financial management, and if you're not going to put the controls in place, this is what happened. If you look at the 3 teams that got promoted last season, and they're all going down this season, Burnley, Luton, Sheffield United. No investment, crazy investment. The other team which came up 2 seasons ago, Nottingham Forest, invested over 150 million in putting a side together. That's why on Saturday, the chairman nearly killed the referee for the game against Liverpool, because 98 minutes, he was winning 1 point. 99 minutes, it's 0 point. And that difference of 1 point may cost Nottingham Forest £100 million next year. This is how football is about fine margin. And anyone who leverage and go gung-ho, you got to be careful. This happened with business as well. We have seen many businesses just keep on leveraging, thinking better days ahead. Russian roulette, and when it goes against, the market moves, you go down very quickly. So we call that doing a Leeds. I won't put you on the spot, but I'm sure you can think of a couple of companies in Mauritius that have been doing a Leeds over the last few years. This is the team that played against Man United in the FA Cup final in 2023. Look at the nationality of that team that came together. This was the team that they fielded at Wembley. How do you put a team like this together? What language do you speak to make them understand what they need to do? It's very complicated. And you're not talking about highly educated people here. They haven't been to school, that's why they have, they got time to focus on it, they do the education differently. But how do you put a team like this together? Imagine your exco tomorrow with this. The reason the team come together is because they drill the process day in, day out. The language, they speak with the feet. They speak with their positioning, and they know where the ball is going to come. It doesn't matter about the language. That's the point where you put the whole team together. It doesn't matter how you communicate, as long as the vision is clear, what is expected of each one of them is clearly defined. When each one knows his role, there will be no confusion. You don't need a common language. You have a common purpose. It's very difficult to be a football manager, yeah? You think about it, football is very simple. There are only two processes. Either you score, and you prevent the other one from scoring. But then why come such a simple process not everybody can follow? How many of you watched United yesterday? Jeez. They had a good process. The team was good for 80 minutes. And suddenly they start getting injuries on one particular side of the pitch. And at the same time, Pep realized United was weakening. He changed his substitutions and he killed United off very quickly. So it doesn't matter how good your process is, you need to have the right people in the right place. And many organizations sometimes put the wrong people and then they blame the process. But the reverse is also true. If you don't have the process, it doesn't matter how good people you have working with you, you will never get over the line. And in any business, be it in banking or in professional services, accidents do happen. And what saves you when accident happen is your due process. Did you follow due process? And when you follow due process, if an accident happens, it's bad luck. But if you don't follow due process, then it becomes negligence. This is what happened with football teams as well. If the United players yesterday who step up followed the due process which Ten Hag gave them, we would have finished the game probably 1-1. You agree, Bavik?
I didn't watch.
That will hurt Mark. You want to comment? I continue.
What can I say?
These are today, as we speak, the two best players in the English Premier League. By far, there's no comparison. Although I don't like them, they don't play for my team with a lot of regret, but I enjoy watching them. Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne. Both of them played for Chelsea. And both of them were asked to leave because they did not fit into Chelsea. When you think about this, how wrong could their management, HR, coach ask such talent to disappear? They did not fit into the team. What do you mean they did not fit into the team? How many times have we in organizations said, this guy is not good enough? He goes, and then we find them ending up at our competitors and becoming star players. I'm sure in the bank's 15 years history, you will have, in other organizations, you will have people who have left and have done better elsewhere. So in their assessments, something is seriously wrong here. The official reason they did not fit into Chelsea's style of play at the time. Chelsea wanted more robust players, and they are players with flair. They did not fit. But the reverse is, if you have talent like this, you accommodate them. You play according to their style. If these guys were playing for Chelsea today, can you imagine both of them playing for Chelsea at the same time? The record book would have been totally different. This is why it's very important when you are assessing talent. Don't let people walk through the door if you're not careful. Many times you will hear people saying, oh, this guy is not good enough, he doesn't meet our expectations, he doesn't fit what we want to achieve. But the guy could be a star, could be a bright spark. We should know how to use them. Another point, last year Man City won the treble, and one of their key players was a guy called Jack Grealish. He was outstanding last year. How many games have we played today? He's hardly on the bench because Pep did not think this guy would play as well as he did last year. He did not wait for the end of season to assess Grealish. He did not wait for the KPIs to be met or not met to decide what to do with him. He took Grealish and put him on the bench because he had a better player. And if we have a good year, we normally say this is the team that has done well, and automatically we don't change the winning team, which Pep did. And he will be proven right coming May that his star player a year ago is not the star player today. And that's why in organizations sometimes you have good people turning bad and good people becoming lemons, but we still carry them because there was a day when he did well. That's a bit of an old story. This is Mr. Brian Clough. Worth reading about his history. He's the greatest manager England never had. He managed Nottingham Forest at the time, which was in the second division. At the time, it was not called Championship like today. There was no Premier League, there was Division 1. He's the only manager till date that took a team from second division to the first division and win the title in the same year. Only one manager has done that. That's Brian Clough. He won the title and is the first manager, and Nottingham Forest became the only club in the history of England to have won the Champions League back to back. 79 and 1980. And in those days, he only played with people that nobody knew. They were not household names. He made them into champions with his style of playing. The problem with Clough, he did not change. What he thought was right in 1979 and 80, he carried that until 1990. He did not win anything afterwards. Again, he built, he focused, he had a plan, and he wanted the whole world to follow his plan, but the world had changed. Football has changed. Clough did not change. He died a loser, he died a very miserable man. But what is also very interesting is, when Clough was at Nottingham Forest, before he became at Forest, he was manager of a club called Derby. At the time, the rivalry of Derby, there was no United or Liverpool. It was Leeds who was the reigning champion of England. And their manager then was Don Revie. Revie and Clough had a rivalry. After Leeds became champion, Don Revie became England manager. So the board of Leeds thought, okay, if Revie has become England manager, the next best should be Brian Clough, and they brought Brian Clough in. Clough lasted 44 days, and this movie is on BBC. Have a look at it. It's called The Damn United. The 44 Days of Brian Clough at Leeds United. Now, when he walked into Leeds, Leeds were champions, and they had very strong characters in terms of players. They were champions. They could not accept Brian Clough as the new manager. He also wanted to change things. That players' power got together, and he had to go. That was the tragedy of his life. So if tomorrow you don't look at the culture issues, you don't look at the softer issues, you bring in a CEO from outside, and you already have a successful management team, if he's not accepted, the guy can go, just like Clough did in 44 days. So the recruitment there, the succession planning, was not well thought. And we have seen it as well in various companies here, how succession planning has been badly handled, and the company suffered in the end. Both Derby, Leeds, Nottingham Forest, they all disappeared afterwards. Again, decision was wrong with succession planning. These three players were king of Man United. They were very strong characters, they were really good players, but what differentiated them from the others? They were not the brightest, they were not the best in terms of skill. All three of them had one thing which we all need to look at, which is attitude. Brian Robson was for many years playing for United and carrying the team alone. When Robson plays, United wins. When Robson is injured, United loses. And the same applied to England as well. And then came Ferguson's biggest recruitment of all time, Eric Cantona. He had an attitude, he was arrogant, he had style, he had class, he had everything. But he was what we call l'enfant terrible. He had trouble at Marseille, he had trouble at Leeds. How many managers would have got the guts to go and recruit that? We tend to look for people who are going to be quiet, obedient, and not challenging. Fergie went for Cantona. He was the rebel. And he changed the history of United. There's a nice story. When he first came to United, his first game was against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. In the dressing room, he was getting ready, and next to him was another great United player who went to Chelsea afterwards, Mark Hughes. And Mark Hughes was seated next to Cantona, and just Cantona rolled up the collar and stood up when they were walking out. That was his trademark. Mark Hughes looked at Cantona and said, "Who is going to beat us today?" That's the sort of attitude, if somebody has, it has an effect on the whole team. That you're here as a winner, you're going to win. And that winning culture in any organization comes from the manager. At every level of the organization, everyone in a leadership position must have this winning attitude. If you don't have it, you might as well stay home. The last one was Roy Keane. Roy Keane is for me one of my favorite of all time. He's been galvanizing United over the years. But the best thing that symbolized Roy Keane was 1999, which is the greatest year in the history of United. They were going for the treble. They ended up playing Juventus in the semi-final of the European Cup. They drew 1-1 at Old Trafford. Then they went to Turin. Within 20 minutes, United was down 2-0. Next, what happened? Anyone remember what happened? Oh, that's the end. What happened after the 2-0? Because that was the sort of United dream coming to an end. Roy Keane picked up a yellow card. Unfortunately, it was his 5th yellow card, which meant he was not going to play the final should United get through. And they're already 2-0 down. Can you imagine, you're the captain, you're leading your team for the Holy Grail, the biggest year in the football history, not only for United but for most clubs. You're the captain, you know already after 25 minutes you are not going to play the final. How do you handle that personal disappointment? If those of you remember Italia 1990, when Paul Gascoigne got the yellow card, he started crying on the pitch. Roy Keane just bent down, pulled his socks up, looked at his teammate and said, let's go for it. He pulled one back and they won the game 3-2. Single-handed. Ferguson said, this is the most emphatic display of selflessness I've seen on the pitch. But what is interesting is, when Roy Keane was asked, how did you handle that disappointment? That selflessness which Ferguson talked about it. He said there was nothing selflessness about it. I was just doing my job. How many times we feel this guy has gone the extra mile, he has done a great job. But for Roy Keane, he did not do anything extra. What he did on that day was just his job. That's his view of things. When all of us have supporters felt, this guy's like a messiah. But for him, nothing. He only did his job. And he don't think he deserved the praise either. Spice Boy. So, who remembers Spice Boys 1998? Have you seen it on Netflix?
Yeah, so we did.
Yeah? So how many of you have seen it on Netflix? Okay. In those days, United did not win anything in 1988. And there were already a lot of talk. He was making front page and back page because he was going out with the Spice Girl. Then came the World Cup in France, 1998, and there was a lot of build-up about the WAGs. Do you know what WAGs mean? Wife and girlfriends causing a lot of problem in France, especially the English players. And against Argentina, 1998. That was the first game, England against Argentina, after the Falkland War. And there was a lot of build-up. And during the game, David Beckham kicked one Argentinian player, and he got sent off. Before Beckham got sent off, England was leading the game. Eventually, they lost because they were down to 10 men. And that's why the headline of Daily Mirror, 10 lions and 1 stupid boy. They continued to hit on Beckham every single game. Okay, the whole England was against Beckham. Every football ground they were going. The master craftsman was Ferguson. He was very happy this happened. He used this to galvanize his team, that it was not an attack on Beckham, it was an attack on Man United. Every game at Old Trafford, the supporters were singing the name of Beckham. That's the only place he could find comfort. And he galvanized the team in such a way that any player who tackled Beckham, another United player will really go for him. And they were doing that systematically. That siege mentality which Ferguson created because of this incident in motivating his team led to 1999, United winning the treble. And the stupid boy became the legend. How did he turn that adversity into becoming a legend is just amazing. But the mastermind was Ferguson in creating that That's siege mentality. The special one.
Available for sale.
Available for sale. And to be honest, this is my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what is interesting about Mourinho's career? He never played professional football. So a lot of people who believes that you need to have technical skill to become the top guy is so untrue. He never played. He graduated in sports as a physio. He did not get into football until the age of 30. And how many of you know how many talents, their careers got burned by the age of 30? Mourinho started at 30. What was his first job in football?
Translator.
He got the job because he knew English. He's Portuguese by nationality because he speaks English very well. When Bobby Robson, which is one of the finest managers in England, became manager in Portugal for Sporting Lisbon, he chose Mourinho to be his number 2 just because Mourinho could speak English. It was not his core skill, it was his English. How many of us have a secondary skills? Not only secondary language, it's a separate skills. That's what got him the job, not his basic qualification. What he did was he stayed with Robson for 10 years. He went from Lisbon to Barcelona and he followed Robson everywhere. He was very loyal. Loyal to the man who was teaching him. He did not hop around. He did not say, well, I've learned a bit now. I think I know that much and I can move on to another employer. He did not. He stayed with Robson for 10 years. Loyalty, because he was learning from the old man. We don't see that today. This is what we need to educate people. That loyalty pays at the end of the day. At the age of 40, 2002, he joined Porto. And as we said, the rest is history. So he did not get the job because of his core skills. He stayed loyal. He waited for his time. And he got a top job straight away. And then he took Porto to a different level. And then Chelsea, United, you name it. Real Madrid. He's still the best in the business. Three Englishmen, what have they got in common?
They all captain their clubs.
Captain their clubs. Gary Neville for United, Stephen Gerrard for Liverpool, Frank Lampard, Chelsea. Not only they captain their club, they never move on. They stayed with their clubs, very loyal. They love their clubs. All great players of their generation. But they all fail as managers. Okay? How many times in organization have we promoted people because we said, this guy is technically very good? Yeah, technically very good, we know that. Managers, that's a different skill set. How many times we have promoted people in organization based on technical skill only? And then they became toxic managers. And then you hear the argument, oh, if we don't promote him, he's going to go, he's being offered manager at our competitor. If he's going to be toxic, let him go, yeah? All three have failed very badly. Now Gerard's trying his luck in Saudi. Lampard is sitting at home. Neville is a good punter, pundit, not punter. But technical skill doesn't guarantee you. This we can talk times and again. I can talk for an hour about him. But one thing about Ferguson you need to know. He's not technically, or he was not technically as good as a Pep Guardiola or a Jose Mourinho. Those of you who remember the two finals which United played against Barcelona and the Pep, United could have lost 6-7 on the night. He was not that good technically. Ferguson knew only one thing: motivate his team, just go for it. That's all. Do you know when United was playing Bayern in the I see the jersey, I remember this. United was down 1-0 against Bayern in the final. At halftime he said to the guys, you know what's going to hurt you more? It's not about losing the game. It's when you're going to get your medal, you're going to walk past that European Cup and you would not even be able to touch it. If you want to touch it, pull up your socks. That's what they did, and they went on to win. And you know, Fergie never lost any game, he just ran out of time. That's my final slide. Man City beating United in the Cup final. What's the difference here? This is a team that beat United, okay, on your right. On the day, I'm not saying that in any biased way, but United was better than City in the Cup final, okay? Team for team, toe for toe, United was better. We lost because one guy decided to take the game by the scruff of his neck, and he stepped up. Gundogan, okay? He had 2 shots on United from outside the box. There's no teamwork there. And whatever we may say, whatever you may read about teamwork, if you want to win, the word I is in the word win. There's no I in team. But if you want to win, it's I. You can have a team talk, nobody step up. In any organization, in any situation, somebody needs to step up. Otherwise, the team will you will become like Arsenal. You'll keep playing for 90 minutes and nobody's going to win. You need to step up. And that's what this guy did. Like in any organization, who is going to step up and take the responsibility? This guy did because nobody in United did. We played as a team. We played well. But no players decided to step up. He did. That's why they won. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Any questions on my presentation?
So where's Mourinho going?
Where's he going?
Yeah, having left Roma, where's he heading to?
I don't know.
Spurs.
PSG probably. He has never been to France. He has won everywhere except in France.
Is it true England will never win the World Cup again?
No. You know why? Very simple. They got the wrong manager. Gareth Southgate has not won anything in his life, neither as a player nor as a manager. You see, when you're going to play in those championships, you get to the end. You must be someone who knows how to motivate that team. He doesn't have what it takes.
What's your take on Arsene Wenger? You know, sort of at the time he joined Arsenal, created a huge impact. Arsenal were on their sentence for quite a while. even created a record having won without losing a game. And then people disappeared. How would you describe that?
He probably stayed too long in the job. And secondly, we don't know what his mandate was. I don't think he had a mandate to go and win the title. He had a mandate to keep Arsenal profitable so that they could end up building that famous stadium of theirs. Don't forget, this guy has got an economics degree. Okay? And if you look at Wenger, he has always attracted good young talents and then been successful with them. But football had changed and he needed to go into the transfer market. He didn't have the budget for the transfer market. And I think because the objective of the club was the stadium first.
Single best management lesson from football.
Sorry?
What's in your feeling, what your sense? What's the single best management lesson in football?
Motivating average performer into world-class performers. Because you don't always have the luxury of recruiting superstars. But you need to make them into stars. Yeah.
You showed us the team with the different nationalities and that everyone knows the position. Obviously, when it's the players, it's presumably easier that everyone knows what they're supposed to do. But one of the things that, I'm German, so one of the things that I thought when Klopp moved from Dortmund to Liverpool, the way he was motivating the players in Dortmund was a lot about how he spoke to them. And I was very surprised to see how he was able to replicate it in a country where he's not a native speaker. So what do you think was the secret of his success, being able to communicate at the same kind of level with his players as he could in Dortmund?
Klopp is a very good human being. He spoke with his heart. So when you speak with your heart, it doesn't matter which language you use. And he also has very good command of English, but he talks very emotionally. I think that's what made the difference. He got the right words.
While we're on the Germans, why did this guy make it for Chelsea but not for the German national team?
Who?
Gundogan.
That's the problem of your England manager. Your German manager, not your German manager doesn't recognize the right talent. That's why you haven't won anything for a while now. See, those national managers like to play in the comfort zone. They like players they see every week. They won't take a plane to go to England and watch Gundogan play. But you know, when you talk about positioning of players, you mentioned that players know their position. There's a nice story. You get it on, I think it's in one of the interviews of Thierry Henry. You know, he played for Barca. And he played for Pep Guardiola. In a match, I can't remember against which team, he was given a specific position to play on the left, which is not his best. But Pep told him, you stay there. For the first 45 minutes, nothing was happening on the left-hand side. All the action were on the right-hand side. So during the game, he drifted a little bit, moved around, got himself on the right side of the pitch, and he scored. They went into the dressing room 1-0, thanks to Thierry Henry's goal. So Pep gave his halftime talk and said, we are now going to come up with substitution. And he substituted Thierry Henry. The guy scored. They were 1-0 up. He said, when I tell you to play on the left, you stick on the left. I don't care if you have scored. You don't change that position. I don't know if you remember, Mourinho was saying, Luke Shaw plays with my brain. You heard that? Because he was playing on the left, and Mourinho spoke to him a few times, and then he did very well in one game. So he said, he played with my brain. So that's when Luke Shaw got upset, as if he was a real dumb, which maybe he is, but that's what Mourinho said. Positioning is very key. Good.
Thank you very much.
There's the extra time.